The sound of her laugh cut through the night. It wasn't the soft laugh I used to crave when I whispered something clumsy in her ear. This one was sharp, cruel, carrying a kind of delight that twisted inside me. I stopped under the awning of the restaurant and gripped the cold metal railing. I knew that voice. Elara. I leaned closer to the half-open window, the warm light spilling across the pavement. The clink of glasses, the murmur of conversation, then her words. Marcus is too loyal for his own good. He'd wait a lifetime if I told him to. Honestly, it's almost pathetic. My chest tightened. My own name turned into a joke. A man's chuckle followed, low and confident. And you enjoy watching him dangle, don't you? Her voice slid out like silk. Why wouldn't I? He thinks loyalty is strength. I call it blind devotion. The railing bit into my palm. I should have walked away, but my legs felt locked to the ground. The restaurant smelled of roasted garlic and red wine, scents that once meant celebration to me. Tonight, they mixed with betrayal. I pressed my forehead against the cool glass for a moment, trying to steady my breath. My fiancée. The woman I promised my life to, and she was inside, mocking me with another man. My mind screamed to storm in. But another part of me replayed the first time I heard her laugh. It was at a gala months back. She had been standing by the bar in a silver dress that caught every glint of light. Her laughter then had been warm, disarming, making me feel like I was the only one in the room who deserved to hear it. She leaned close when she spoke, brushing her hand against mine as if it was a secret invitation. Do you always look so serious, Marcus? She teased that night I had smiled, nervous but hooked. Only when I'm trying to make a good impression. You've already made one, she said. Her eyes lingering just long enough that memory clashed violently with what I was hearing now. Inside the restaurant, her voice rose again. He shows up early, brings flowers, plans dinners. Everything by the book. Where's the thrill in that? The man chuckled. So you keep him around as a safety net? Something like that, she replied. He's comfortable, reliable, but not exciting. The words sliced me open. Not exciting. My pulse thundered in my ears. Every late-night call I'd taken for work. Every weekend I'd planned around her. Every moment I thought I was building us a future. All of it reduced to some safe, boring routine in her eyes. I whispered to myself, Elara, how could you? Another burst of laughter from her. Marcus thinks he knows me. He doesn't even scratch the surface. The man's voice dipped. Then who does? There was silence. The kind that tells you a smile is being exchanged. I closed my eyes and shook my head, my thoughts racing. I remembered the promises she whispered into my ear. When we lay tangled together after long days, you're the only man I'll ever need, she once breathed against my neck. You trust me? I asked her that night. Completely, she said. But trust, I was learning, had been a one-sided vow. Back at the window, my throat burned. I wanted to run, to erase her from my life, but my body refused. My loyalty had been my anchor, but now it felt like chains. I heard the scrape of a chair inside. His voice again. If he found out, what would he do? Her laugh dropped into something softer, darker. Marcus, he'd probably still forgive me. That's who he is. That's why it's so easy. The room spun. Easy. I wasn't a man to her. I was convenience. I forced myself to breathe. 1, 2, 3. The night air felt heavier with each inhale. People passed on the street, unaware of the storm caving in on me. To them, I was just another man standing outside a restaurant. To me, this was the death of everything I thought I knew. I whispered under my breath, I can't keep standing here. I pushed myself upright, my hands trembling. The restaurant door gleamed under the light, polished and heavy. My reflection stared back at me, tired eyes, clenched jaw. A man moments away from breaking. Inside, she was still laughing. I reached for the handle, my voice steady inside my head. No more hiding. The glass rattled under my grip. My heart pounded louder than the city around me, and then I heard it. My name twisted into a joke from her lips, followed by his voice. I pushed the door open. The flash of silver was the first thing I noticed. A dress that caught every flicker of light, as if the night itself bent toward her. I stood near the bar, glass in my hand, trying not to stare. But my eyes betrayed me, she noticed. Of course she noticed. She walked over slowly, her lips curved in a smile that seemed to hold secrets. "You're Marcus, aren't you?" she asked, her voice smooth, almost playful. I straightened. "How do you know my name?" "People talk. You're the one who closed that merger last month, right? The youngest on your team to do it." Her words made my pulse quicken. She had been watching me, or at least listening. "And you are?" I asked. "Ilara Voss." She extended her hand, cool and deliberate. "Though I have a feeling you'll remember me without the introduction." I took her hand, and she didn't let go right away. Her thumb brushed once against mine before she pulled back. "You're confident," I said, unable to mask my intrigue. "I'm observant," she corrected. Then she leaned a little closer, her perfume drawing me in. "Why do you look so serious? Is this gala really that dreadful?" "I'm here for work. Networking, the usual." She tilted her head, studying me. "That's not an answer. That's a shield." I laughed nervously. "Maybe both." Her eyes locked on mine. "I prefer men who know how to lower their shields." That line, that challenge, was the hook. From that moment, I wasn't just speaking with a beautiful woman in a silver dress. I was standing in front of someone who dared me to fall. I asked, "What about you? Why are you here?" Her lips curled. "For the champagne, the diamonds, the thrill of being admired, and maybe for the company." "The company? I choose carefully," she said, her gaze drifting across the crowded room. Men in tailored suits turned their heads toward her, some bold enough to hold her stare. She ignored them all and looked back at me. "Tonight, I choose you." I swallowed, heat rushing into my chest. "That's a dangerous thing to say." "Danger makes life worth living," she replied softly. We spent the rest of that night in constant conversation. She told me about her love for art galleries, her hatred of predictability, her obsession with never being ordinary. I told her about my work, my goals, my belief in building something lasting. She smiled when I said that. "Something lasting. You're a loyal one, aren't you, Marcus?" "I like to think so." She leaned close enough for her breath to touch my ear. "I like loyal men. They're so rare." It was the first time I felt the trap close around me. Later in the evening, I felt a presence behind her. A tall man with slick dark hair and a calm, practiced smile. He placed a hand on the small of her back, as though he belonged there. "Ilara," he said warmly, "you vanished on me." She turned with a flicker of impatience. "Sebastian, I was in the middle of something." His eyes shifted to me, sharp assessing. "And you are?" "Marcus," I answered, extending my hand. He shook it lightly, his grip more for form than substance. "Sebastian Crow, a family friend." Ilara's tone softened when she spoke to him. "We grew up around the same circles. He thinks he knows me better than anyone." Sebastian smiled faintly, his eyes never leaving me. "And maybe I do." The weight of his stare was unsettling, but Ilara looped her arm through mine, as if to stake a claim. "Not tonight," she told him. "Tonight belongs elsewhere." He raised his brow but didn't argue. Instead, he excused himself with a nod and walked back into the crowd. I turned to her. "Does he always interrupt like that?" "He's harmless," she said, sipping her champagne. "Just a little too sure of himself. Didn't seem harmless." She smirked. "Jealous already?" "I don't get jealous easily," I replied. "You will," she said quietly, almost as if it was a promise. The rest of the night blurred into heat and energy. We danced, we whispered, we exchanged numbers. When I finally walked her out into the cool air, she stopped under the glow of the streetlight. "Do you always act like a gentleman?" she asked. I tried to. She stepped closer, her silver dress brushing against my arm. "Good, I've been waiting for a man who remembers how." "Waiting for one." "Waiting for the right one." Her eyes sparkled as she said it, and I believed her. That night, I replayed every word she spoke. I convinced myself she had chosen me out of everyone in that room, that her smile had been only mine. Her closeness, a gift no one else received. I didn't see the arrogance behind her charm, the way her eyes flickered when she thought no one noticed. I didn't see the control in her every movement, the way she tested how far I'd bend for her. I only saw the woman I thought I knew, the woman I believed was mine. But as I stand here now, remembering, I can still see Sebastian's eyes on her that night. The way he watched her as though he already knew the ending. I refuse to imagine if I had noticed the way Sebastian's eyes lingered on her. Maybe I would have realized she was never really mine. The glow of her phone lit up the bedroom. It was past midnight, and I turned toward her. "Lara," I whispered. "Who are you texting at this hour?" She didn't flinch. Her eyes stayed locked on the screen. "Work. A client overseas. Time zones don't care about sleep." I sat up, rubbing my eyes. "At midnight?" She looked at me then, her gaze sharp. "Do you not trust me?" I hesitated. "It's not about trust. It's about us. You never used to work this late?" She slid her phone under the pillow and lay back. "You worry too much. That's your problem." I lay down again, staring at the ceiling, my chest heavy. The next evening she appeared in the hallway wearing a dress I had never seen before. Black silk that clung to her like it had been sewn on her skin. "Where are you going?" I asked. "Dinner with colleagues? Networking? Like this?" My voice cracked with disbelief. She twirled slowly, smirking. "What's wrong with how I look?" "You look incredible," I admitted. "That's the point." She walked up to me, heels clicking on the floor, and placed her hand on my chest. "Then tell me good luck instead of playing detective." Lara, her lips brushed my cheek, silencing me. "Good luck, Marcus. I'll be home late." I stood at the door long after she left, wondering when she had started slipping away. 2 nights later, she curled against me on the couch, her head on my shoulder, her perfume thick and distracting. "You're quiet," she said. "I've been thinking," I replied. "Dangerous habit." She tilted her face up toward mine. "Tell me what's spinning in that head of yours. You keep saying work, meetings, clients, but I can't shake this feeling." She laughed softly. "You sound jealous." "I told you, I like loyal men, not paranoid ones." "I'm not paranoid. I don't want to lose you." Her hand slid down my arm, fingers lingering. "You won't, unless you push me away with all this doubt." I looked at her, trying to find sincerity in her eyes. "You've been colder lately." "Even when we're close." Her smile faltered, just for a second. Then she leaned in, lips brushing my ear. "Maybe I want you to fight harder for me." My breath caught. "Fight how?" She whispered. "Surprise me. Show me you're not so predictable." I turned, meeting her lips in a sudden kiss, desperate to prove her wrong. She kissed me back, hungry, then pulled away too soon, leaving me stranded in the space between desire and confusion. "That's better," she said. Eyes glittering. Later that week, she sat across from me at the kitchen table, scrolling through her phone while sipping wine. "Lara, can I ask you something?" "You just did." She didn't look up. "Why do you need me if I'm so predictable?" She finally raised her eyes. "Because you're safe." "Do you know how rare that is?" "Safe," I repeated. "That sounds like settling, or it sounds like stability," she countered. "But Marcus, stability bores me sometimes. And when I'm bored, I test the people I love. Isn't that fair?" My voice sharpened. "No, it isn't." She set her phone down, studying me. "Then maybe you're not as strong as I thought." I pushed my chair back. "What do you want from me?" Her lips curved slowly. "I want you to stop asking questions and start living like I'm the best thing that's ever happened to you. Because I am." She walked around the table, sat on the edge, and leaned so close I could feel her breath. And you know it. My body wanted to believe her. My mind screamed at me not to. The next weekend, she came home past midnight, hair slightly undone, lipstick smudged. "You're late," I said. Trying to sound calm, she kicked off her heels and dropped her purse on the counter. "Traffic." "At 1 in the morning?" She gave me a long look, then crossed the room and wrapped her arms around my neck. Marcus, you exhaust yourself with suspicion. Don't you get tired of doubting me? Do you give me a reason not to? Her fingers traced my jawline. Because I'm here. With you. Isn't that enough? I wanted to believe it. Her lips brushed mine, her body pressed against me, and for a moment, the doubt melted. But then, she pulled away first, leaving me cold again. I tried to speak. Ilara, stop overthinking, she whispered, her back already turned. One evening, I came home early from work. The lights were dim, music playing softly. She sat on the couch in a red dress, crossing her legs as though she had been waiting. You're home early, she said. Should I not be? She patted the seat next to her. Sit. I want to enjoy you tonight. I sat down, my suspicion momentarily disarmed. She leaned against me, her head resting on my chest, her hands slipping over mine. You're tense, she murmured. Because I don't know what game you're playing with me, I admitted. Her lips curved against my shirt. The only game is whether you can handle me. I tilted her chin up. I love you, Ilara. That's all I want to handle. Her eyes softened, almost vulnerable. Say it again. I love you. She kissed me, slow and deliberate, then pulled back with a sly smile. Don't ever stop saying that. Even when you don't believe it anymore. The words rattled me. What does that mean? She pressed her finger to my lips. Tonight isn't for questions. I held her tighter, but something inside me cracked. I should have seen it then, the truth hiding beneath the silk. The red flags weren't small, they were waving in my face. But I convinced myself they were love. And then one night, she came home smelling of his cologne, the one scent I'd never forget. I first noticed it at a gallery opening she insisted we attend. Ilara walked in beside me, dazzling in emerald silk. And suddenly Sebastian was there. Marcus, he greeted, his hand clasping mine with calculated warmth. You finally made it out of the office. I forced a smile. Guess I did. His eyes flicked to Ilara, resting on her longer than polite. You outshine the art, Ilara. She laughed softly, brushing his arm as if the compliment deserved physical acknowledgement. My jaw tightened. I leaned toward her. You didn't tell me Sebastian would be here? She waved her glass. He's everywhere. Don't make it a thing, Sebastian smirked. I do get around. The evening felt like a trap. Every time I looked at her, he was already watching. Every time I moved closer, found a way to position himself beside her. When we finally stepped outside for air, I asked, Do you even notice how he looks at you? She sipped her wine, unbothered. He flirts with everyone. Don't be dramatic. He doesn't flirt with everyone like that. So now I'm guilty of what? Smiling at a friend. He's not acting like a friend. She touched my arm lightly. Marcus, you're reading shadows where there's light. Don't ruin the night. The next week, Sebastian appeared at a dinner she claimed was for colleagues only. I walked in to surprise her, and there he was again, seated close. His chair angled toward her like no one else in the room mattered. Ilara, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Funny seeing Sebastian here. She blinked, startled. Marcus, I didn't expect you. Sebastian rose smoothly. Always a pleasure. We were just discussing the new contract. Were you? I asked, eyes locked on his hand, which still rested on the back of her chair. He noticed my stare and smiled, slowly removing it. You know how business dinners are? Lots of hand-holding, metaphorically speaking. Her laugh was too quick, too eager. Exactly, nothing more. I sat down beside her, close enough to stake a claim. Then let's all enjoy dinner together. Throughout the meal, Sebastian's words dripped with double meanings. 2 partnerships, he toasted. Looking at her instead of me? To loyalty, I added. Clinking my glass harder than necessary, he smirked again, unshaken. Loyalty is fragile when tested. I watched her sip, avoiding my eyes. Later in the car, silence suffocated us until I broke it. He touches you like you're his. You're exaggerating, she said. He doesn't look at anyone else. Her voice cut sharp. So what? You want me to stop being friendly with him? Should I ignore half my colleagues because you can't handle it? I gripped the steering wheel. I want you to see how this looks. She leaned back. Or maybe you just don't trust me enough. The conversation ended there, but the doubt didn't daze. Later, I arrived at her office to take her to lunch. Through the glass wall, I saw her laughing, Sebastian leaning over her desk. Their heads too close, his hand brushing her wrist as he handed her a document. She didn't pull back. I walked in. Ready for lunch? Her smile faltered. Marcus, I wasn't expecting you. Sebastian straightened, his charm effortless. Good timing. We just wrapped up. I forced a nod. Then she's free. On the way out, I asked, do you realize how that looked? She shot me a look. How what looked? Him leaning over you, touching you like that? She stopped in the hallway. Are you going to accuse me every time someone gets close? I'm accusing him. He doesn't respect boundaries, and you set them with him, not me, she snapped, walking ahead. That night, I replayed every glance, every touch. My chest burned with jealousy. I hated myself for feeling. But the images wouldn't leave at another party. He cornered us again. Marcus, he said, clapping my shoulder like we were old friends. Ilara tells me you've been busy. She keeps the best company when you're away. I bristled. She has me. That's enough. Lara tugged my arm. Don't start. Sebastian's grin widened. I'd never want to start anything inappropriate. His gaze lingered on her as he said it. I swallowed the urge to hit him. Instead, I whispered to her when he walked away. He wants you. Her lips pressed to my ear. Even if he did, it's meaningless. I want you. But her eyes darted after him as she said it. One evening I caught her adjusting her hair in the mirror, spritzing perfume before leaving. Meeting again? I asked. Yes. Sebastian will be there. My chest tightened. You told me it was just colleagues. He is a colleague, she snapped. And what am I? The man who waits at home while you play with fire? She met my eyes in the mirror. You're the man who makes me feel safe. That should be enough. Safe. The word cut deeper this time. We rode in silence to the restaurant, where she insisted I joined inside. Sebastian greeted us with his usual smile, standing too close as he kissed her cheek. You look radiant tonight, she blushed. I saw it. I felt it. We sat, and I forced myself to breathe, to watch, to gather proof of what my gut already knew. He leaned toward her, speaking low. She laughed, touching his arm without thinking. I stared at my glass, then at her hand, still resting on him. Ilara, I said quietly, do you even see what you're doing? She blinked at me, pulling her hand back. Marcus, stop. You're imagining things. No, I said, my voice steady now. I'm finally seeing clearly. She stiffened, eyes darting between me and Sebastian. I set my glass down, every nerve in my body screaming. But that night at the restaurant, I finally saw what had been hidden in plain sight. The restaurant buzzed with low chatter, the clink of silverware, the smell of roasted garlic, but all of it faded behind the sound of her voice. Her laughter cut through the air like glass. I stopped at the entrance, hidden by a column, watching her tilt her head back, wine glass in hand. Sebastian, leaning across the table like he owned her. Marcus would never notice, she said, her voice dripping with cruelty. He's too loyal, too safe, predictable to a fault. Sebastian chuckled. Safe men can be useful, but they rarely excite women like you, she smirked. Exactly. He trusts me completely, and it's almost boring. Sometimes I wonder if he even knows who I really am. The words burned, each one a knife. I had defended her, worshipped her, loved her. And here she was, turning me into a joke over wine. Sebastian raised his glass. To loyalty, then. May it blind him forever. They clinked their glasses, her laughter spilling out again. I stepped forward, my chest tight. Every muscle in my body begging me to either scream or collapse. The Mater D tried to intercept me. Sir, do you have a reservation? I'm already at my table, I muttered, pushing past him. Her back was to me. What? Sebastian facing me with that smug curve of his lips. He saw me first, Ilara, he said smoothly, lifting his glass toward me. We've been joined by the man of the hour." Her laughter stopped. She turned slowly, her eyes meeting mine. The color drained from her face. "Marcus." Her voice cracked, too late. I pulled out a chair and sat down across from them, my hands trembling as I placed them flat on the table. "Don't stop on my account. Please, keep talking about how predictable I am." She swallowed, setting her glass down carefully. "You're misunderstanding, am I?" My voice was low, steady, but shaking underneath. Because from where I stood, it sounded very clear. Sebastian leaned back, smirking. "We were just having a conversation. Nothing more." I glared at him. "You enjoy this, don't you?" Watching her humiliate me, he didn't blink. "I enjoy honesty. Something you might need more of." I turned back to her. "So that's what I am to you? A safety net. A man too blind to see what's happening right in front of him." Her lips parted, but no words came. "Say it," I demanded. "Say what you just told him. Tell me I'm boring. Tell me I'm predictable. Tell me loyalty means nothing to you." Her eyes glossed, but she forced a brittle smile. "You're twisting it." "Twisting it?" My voice rose. Heads began turning at nearby tables. "I heard you mocking me. I heard every word." Sebastian's hand brushed hers, a deliberate act. "Marcus, you're making a scene." I slammed my palm against the table, making the glasses rattle. "You don't get to touch her in front of me." Ilara flinched, pulling her hand back, but not fast enough. "You think I haven't seen it?" I hissed. "The way you lean into him, the way you laugh too easily at his words, the way you come home smelling like him. Do you even realize how many chances I gave you to tell me the truth?" She finally spoke, her voice sharp. "You never asked the right questions. You assumed I was perfect. You put me on a pedestal and expected me to stay there. I didn't put you anywhere. I loved you. All of you. Even the parts that were hard to understand. And you repaid me with this?" Sebastian poured himself more wine, unfazed. "Perhaps you should thank me. At least now, you see her clearly." Wanted to hit him. Instead, I stared at her, waiting for something, anything, that could save us. Her lips trembled. "Marcus, I never meant to hurt you." "Then why did you laugh?" My voice cracked now, raw. "Why did you take my loyalty and turn it into a joke for him?" She looked down at her glass, unable to meet my eyes. "Because loyalty felt like chains. Because sometimes your love suffocated me." I recoiled as if struck. "Suffocated you? My loyalty suffocated you? Then why accept my ring? Why let me plan a life with you?" Her whisper barely carried. "Because part of me wanted that life, and another part wanted more." Sebastian leaned closer, his voice smooth and poisonous. "What she means is that you were never enough for all of her." I shot him a look that could kill. "You enjoy picking at other men's lives like this?" He raised his glass. "Only when they leave the door wide open." I turned back to Ilara, my voice breaking. "I would have fought for you. I would have given you everything. But now I see it was never about what I gave. It was about what you craved." She finally looked at me, her eyes filled with something between regret and defiance. "Marcus," I stood, my chair scraping loud against the floor. "Don't say my name like that. You've already said enough." The restaurant was silent now, every gaze on us. My chest burned with humiliation, but I didn't care. Sebastian leaned back casually, his voice a dagger. "Leaving so soon?" I turned on him. "Enjoy your victory. It won't last." When I looked at her one final time, she froze. Her lips parted, but no sound came. The laughter that had mocked me only minutes ago was gone, strangled in her throat. And that was when I knew. The laughter had died too late. The table felt like a battlefield. Her wineglass trembled slightly in her hand, though she tried to mask it with a polished smile. Sebastian leaned back in his chair, smug as if he had already won. My voice shook, but it wasn't weakness. It was rage I refused to let explode. I fixed my eyes on her. "Tell me I imagined it. Tell me you weren't laughing about me?" Her tone snapped sharp. "Marcus, you're overreacting." "Overreacting?" I leaned forward. "You mocked me to him. You turned my loyalty into a joke. Sebastian swirled his glass lazily. Not everyone takes loyalty so seriously. Maybe it was just playful banter. I shot him a glare. Stay out of this, he smirked. I'm very much in this. Her eyes darted between us. Marcus, please. You're making a scene. I didn't make this scene, I said, my voice low. You did. The second you chose him over me. She slammed her glass down. I didn't choose him. You're twisting everything I said. I stared at her, my chest heavy. Then say it to my face. Say I'm not enough for you. Her lips parted, but silence hung between us. Sebastian chuckled under his breath, enjoying the show. Do you remember? I asked, my voice breaking. The night you told me I was the only man you could imagine building a life with. You whispered it after you pulled me into bed, after you looked at me like I was your entire world. Was that a lie too? Her face flickered with guilt. I meant it at the time. At the time. The words seared me. So what changed? Him or you? Sebastian leaned forward now, his voice calm, cutting. What changed is that she realized predictability isn't passion. I clenched my fists under the table. You really think you're the answer? That your smugness is what she needs? He grinned. She seems to think so. Lara, I pressed, my throat tight. Do you even understand what you're doing to me? Every moment we shared, every promise, you've handed pieces of it to him like it meant nothing. Her voice softened suddenly, almost tender. Marcus, I never meant to hurt you. But you don't see me. Not all of me. I saw everything you let me see, I said bitterly. And maybe that's the problem. You showed me tenderness in private and cruelty in public. Which one is real? Her hands twisted in her lap. Both. The word shattered me. Sebastian leaned back, satisfied. There it is. Honesty at last. I turned on him. You think this makes you a man? Sliding into another man's relationship, feeding off cracks you helped create. He raised his glass to me. It's not my fault she wanted more than safety. I looked at her again, my vision blurring with anger and heartbreak. You said I was safe. That was your word for me. Do you know what that meant to me? It meant I was the man who would never leave you, the one you could trust. And you mocked that? Her lips trembled. Marcus, please don't make this harder. Harder. I let out a hollow laugh. I gave you everything. And you made me the punchline of your romance with him. Memory stabbed through me. Her lips pressed to my ear. Whispering my name like it belonged only to her. Her body curled against mine in the dark. Her hand clutching me, as if I was the only anchor she had. That memory felt poisoned now, knowing she had let him close enough to hear her laughter at my expense. I pushed my chair back slowly. I'm done. She blinked, panic flashing across her face. Marcus, wait, no. My voice was steady, final. If I keep talking, I'll say something I can't take back. So I'll give you the silence you deserve. I stood, ignoring the stares from nearby tables. Sebastian called after me with a mocking smile. Walking away doesn't make you stronger. I looked at him one last time. It makes me smarter. You'll learn that soon enough. Lara's chair scraped loudly as she rose. Marcus, please, don't leave like this. I turned, my chest heavy, my words sharp. You laughed at me when I wasn't supposed to hear. You mocked what I gave freely. And now you're surprised I won't stay for more? Her eyes glistened, her lips parted as if to speak again, but no words came. I walked out. The sound of my footsteps against the marble floor echoed louder than any rage could. The silence I left behind weighed heavier than all the shouting in the world, and then I heard it, her voice calling my name. Chasing after me into the night, but I didn't stop walking. Asterisk, I sat in the dark, my phone glowing like a curse in my hand. Every message from her came with a sting. Each word pulling me back into a storm I swore I wanted to escape. Her name flashed again. Ilara Voss. Ilara, I can explain. I whispered to myself. Explain what? That I was never enough? I tossed the phone onto the couch, but seconds later I grabbed it again. Ilara, it wasn't what it looked like. You always overreact, I muttered. Overreact. I saw the way you looked at him, the way you laughed. Oh! My thumb hovered over the keyboard. I typed, deleted, typed again. Finally, I wrote, "Me. Do you even realize what you've done to me?" Her reply came instantly, like she had been waiting in ambush. "Ilara, don't make this dramatic. I love you. He's just a friend." I stared at the screen, my chest tightening. "Friend," I said bitterly. "Friends don't touch your hand under the table. Friends don't whisper in your ear like he owns you." I remembered the way her lips once pressed against mine, soft and urgent. The way she whispered that she couldn't live without me. I wanted to believe those nights were real, but they now felt borrowed, contaminated. "Ilara, why are you twisting everything? You always think the worst. Maybe if you trusted me, this wouldn't have happened." I stood up, pacing the living room. "She's turning it on me," I muttered. "She betrays me and somehow I'm the problem." "Called her." The moment her voice came through, everything I thought I'd say dissolved. "Ilara," I said, my voice shaking. "Did you ever love me?" "Of course I did," she snapped. "You're acting like all of this was fake. Do you know how insulting that is?" "All of this feels fake now," I said. "Every kiss, every promise. Tell me, was I just your placeholder until he came along?" Her silence was sharper than any insult. Then, almost sweetly, she said, "You're not listening. Sebastian is charming, sure, but you're the one I come home to. Till you don't," I shot back. "Until you choose a table in the corner of a restaurant with him over me." "You're making it sound worse than it is," she said. "It wasn't a date. Then why did it look like one?" I demanded. "Why did your laughter sound like betrayal?" She sighed, low and exasperated. "Because he makes me laugh. You've been so serious lately. Always suspicious, always doubting me. 'Cause I can feel it," I said. "I can feel the distance. You think I don't notice when you pull away in bed? When your phone lights up at midnight and you turn it face down? That's not fair," she whispered. "You don't understand how much pressure I've been under. And Sebastian helps with that." I asked. She didn't answer. "Ilara," I said quietly, "I gave you everything I had. I believed in you when no one else did. If you wanted him, you could have just said so. Why humiliate me?" Her tone hardened. "You always make yourself the victim. Do you think you're perfect? Do you think you never pushed me away?" My throat tightened. "I pushed you away. I fought for you every single day. I worked myself to the bone to give you the life you wanted. And you repay me with wine glasses and whispers?" Her voice cracked, but the words still stung. "You make it sound like I'm some kind of monster." "You don't need horns to destroy someone," I said. There was silence, heavy and unbearable. Then she whispered, almost pleading, "Don't give up on me." "I need you." I closed my eyes. "Do you love me? Or do you just need what I give you?" Her answer came too fast. "Both." It felt like a knife. I hung up. The room was still, but my head was loud with memories. Her smile in the morning, her hand slipping into mine. The nights we shared when it felt like nothing could break us. Were those moments real or carefully crafted illusions? The phone buzzed again. Elara. "I'm sorry." "Please don't leave me, Ilara. It didn't mean anything. Ilara, you're the only one who matters." Then, another message. "Ilara, if you walk away now, you'll regret it." I sat back down, staring at her words. My hand shook, but not from weakness. From clarity, I whispered to the empty room, "No, Ilara, the regret will be yours." The knock at my door was soft, almost hesitant. I hesitated before opening it, but when I did, my breath caught. Ilara stood there, mascara streaking down her face, but her lips glistened, and her perfume curled into the air like smoke. Her dress was red, clinging to her body as if she had chosen it deliberately. Knowing the effect it would have, "Ilara," I said, my voice low, "what are you doing here?" She stepped inside without waiting for permission. "I had to see you. I couldn't let things end the way they did." "You mean the way you ended them?" I muttered. Her hand touched my chest, fingers trembling but purposeful. "Don't push me away. You're the only man who has ever seen me for who I really am." I caught her wrist gently, holding it still. "You've been saying a lot of things lately?" Forgive me if I don't know which version of you is real." Tears welled in her eyes again, though I couldn't tell if they were genuine or well-timed. She pressed closer, her body brushing mine as she whispered, "I love you. No one else makes me feel the way you do. Not him. Not anyone." I felt the pull, the dangerous gravity of her words. My pulse quickened, the heat of her skin against mine reminding me of nights when nothing else mattered. Her breath fanned against my neck as she leaned in, whispering, "Please, take me back." "Ilara," I said sharply, forcing myself to step back. "You can't walk in here looking like this and expect me to forget what I saw." Her lips curved into a trembling smile. "What you saw was nothing. I was scared, confused. But when I'm with you, I know exactly who I am." She reached for my hand and guided it to her waist, holding it there. My body betrayed me, wanting her, aching for her, but my mind screamed for clarity. "Do you think this fixes everything?" I asked. "It fixes us," she said softly. "Let me prove it." Her mouth hovered close to mine, so close I could feel the warmth of her breath. I almost gave in. My body leaned forward instinctively, craving the familiar taste of her lips. Then, just as I was about to surrender, she whispered my name. Only it wasn't mine. Sebastian.
Oh.
The sound was like a blade, slicing through every ounce of longing. My hand dropped from her waist. I stepped back, staring at her as if she had turned into a stranger. "What did you just call me?" I asked, my voice breaking. She froze, her eyes widening. I didn't say that." "Yes, you did," I said coldly. "You called me Sebastian." Lips parted, but no words came out. She looked away, her silence louder than any denial. I laughed bitterly, shaking my head. "So that's who you think about? Even here, even now. You came to my home, wearing that dress, whispering lies in my ear, and you couldn't even keep his name out of your mouth." "No," she cried, reaching for me. "It was a mistake. I didn't mean it. You know I love you." I pulled away. "You don't love me. You love the attention. You love being worshipped. And when I stopped feeding your hunger, you found someone else to praise you." Her tears streamed faster, but the sight no longer broke me. I felt hollow, the last of my hope evaporating. "Ilara," I said quietly, "everything you've told me, it's nothing but rehearsed lines." Asterisk, I sat at my desk, staring at the glow of my laptop screen. My phone buzzed again, her name flashing, another desperate message begging me to answer. I ignored it. This time, I wasn't the man chasing after scraps of affection. I whispered to myself, if she wanted games, then games are what she'll get. The door clicked behind me as Marcus walked in. "You haven't slept," he said, tossing his keys on the counter. "You look like hell." I didn't look up. Sleep doesn't matter right now. "What are you doing?" he asked, coming closer. I turned the screen toward him. "I'm digging. Every word she sent me, every transfer, every lie. I'm putting it all together." He frowned. "You sound obsessed." I leaned back in my chair. "Not obsessed. Focused. She thinks I'll crawl back. She thinks my silence is weakness. But I'm done being her safety net." Marcus crossed his arms. "And what do you plan to do with all this?" I clicked open a folder filled with screenshots, bank records, photos of her and Sebastian together. Each one sharper than a knife. I'm going to expose her. Not just to me. To everyone she parades herself in front of. The friends who call her perfect, the men who worship her, the women who envy her. Marcus shook his head. "That's a war, man. Once you start, there's no going back."
I met his eyes.
I already went to war the day she called me by his name. He sat down slowly, sighing. "Tell me the plan." I pulled up a message thread. First, the texts. She begged me to forgive her, claimed Sebastian was nothing, then in the same breath blamed me for not being enough. "Look at this. If you don't forgive me, you'll regret it." Empty threats disguised as apologies. Marcus scanned the screen. Classic manipulation. "Then there's the money," I continued. I opened a spreadsheet, each entry highlighted. She used my accounts to cover her designer clothes, her charity gala tickets, dinners I never attended. And the best part? She funneled some through Sebastian's company. I have receipts. Marcus whistled low. That's not just betrayal. That's fraud. Exactly, I said. My voice hardened. She built her throne on lies, and I'm about to burn it down. He leaned forward. How? I smiled grimly. At the next gala, she loves that stage. The lights, the cameras. I'll make sure her kingdom crumbles in front of everyone she tried so hard to impress. Marcus raised an eyebrow. You're serious. Dead serious, I said. She thought she was untouchable. She thought I'd drown in heartbreak while she danced with him. But now it's my turn. My phone buzzed again. Another message from her. Please, can we talk? I'll do anything. I read it out loud. Marcus laughed without humor. Anything, huh? Except tell the truth. I typed a reply slowly, letting each word cut. You'll see me soon. Just not the way you expect. Then I hit send. Marcus smirked. You really want her to panic. She made me doubt myself for months, I said. Every time I trusted her, she twisted the knife. Now I want her to feel that spiral. That fear. He hesitated. You're playing with fire. I know, I admitted. But fire is the only language she understands. Hours passed as I compiled everything. Photos of her leaning too close to Sebastian, his hand brushing hers across a table. Screenshots of her messages to both of us, words that mirrored each other like a script. Her arrogance was in every detail. Marcus watched me, silent for a while before speaking again. Do you ever wonder if you're becoming like her? Manipulative, calculated. I looked at him, my jaw tight. No, because the difference is, I'm not lying. I'm not hiding. I'm just showing the world the truth she buried. His eyes softened. Then make sure you don't lose yourself in it. I exhaled slowly, staring at the stack of evidence. She already tried to take me apart. This isn't losing myself. This is reclaiming everything she thought she owned. My phone buzzed once more, this time with a new message that made my blood run cold. If you ruin me, you'll regret it more than you can imagine. Marcus read over my shoulder. She's threatening you now. I closed the phone, a slow smile tugging at my lips. She still thinks she has power. She has no idea I've already turned the tables. Marcus shook his head but didn't argue. He knew I was past the point of retreat. I gathered the files into one neat folder on my desktop, labeling it the truth. I stared at the name for a long time, my chest heavy but steady. She thought I'd beg for her, I whispered. More to myself than to Marcus, but I was preparing her downfall. The ballroom glittered under crystal chandeliers. Laughter swirled through the air. Champagne flutes clinked. And Alara stood at the center of it all, like a queen in her kingdom. She wore a gold dress that shimmered with every turn, her smile sharp enough to slice. Marcus nudged me as we walked in. You're really doing this here? In front of everyone? I adjusted my cufflinks, eyes locked on her. This is the stage she built for herself. Let her kingdom see the truth. Ilara spotted me across the room, her eyes widening before settling into a calculated smirk. She whispered something to the woman beside her, who giggled as if in on the secret. Sebastian entered a moment later, confident as ever in his tailored suit. He kissed her cheek too long, too casually, as the crowd applauded their arrival like royalty. My stomach tightened, but I stayed still. Marcus muttered, "They look untouchable." "It's not for long," I said. The host tapped a glass for attention, announcing a toast. Alara stepped forward, her voice carrying with perfect control. "I'm so grateful to be surrounded by people who believe in me, who support me. Tonight isn't about me, though. It's about celebrating trust, loyalty, and love." The irony nearly made me laugh. I raised my voice instead. What an interesting choice of words. The room fell silent. Heads turned. Ilara froze mid-sentence, then recovered with a forced laugh. "Marcus, darling, you startled me. How bold of you to interrupt." I walked forward slowly, my voice calm but sharp. "I think boldness is overdue. You speak of loyalty while whispering lies in the dark. Shall we talk about what you celebrate behind closed doors? Gasps rippled through the guests. Ilara's smile faltered. You're humiliating yourself. Sit down. Sebastian stepped closer to her, hand at the small of her back. He's drunk. Ignore him. I pulled my phone from my pocket and projected a photo onto the screen behind me, one of many prepared for tonight. Ilara and Sebastian. Their hands intertwined across a table at a private restaurant. The crowd murmured in shock. Ilara's voice cracked. That's out of context. I raised my chin. Then maybe the next one will help. I swiped. Another photo appeared, this time her lips grazing his ear. His hand gripping her waist, her friends gasped, some covering their mouths. Others shaking their heads. Sebastian's composure slipped for the first time. Marcus, this is beneath you. Beneath me? I snapped. You spent months beneath her and thought no one would know. You mocked me together. You thought my silence was weakness. The room buzzed with whispers, the music forgotten. Ilara reached for me desperately. Stop this, please. We can talk in private. I pulled my hand back. You mocked me in public. You'll face the truth in public. Sebastian stepped away from her, his expression changing as eyes fell on him. I won't be dragged into your mess, Ilara. Her head whipped toward him. You promised. He cut her off. I promised nothing. Not here. Not now. He adjusted his tie and turned as if she were nothing more than an inconvenience. The betrayal painted across her face was almost painful to watch. She reached for him again, but he slipped from her grip and walked away, leaving her stranded in the center of the ballroom. Gasps turned into sharp whispers. Her allies stepped back as if she carried poison. I spoke again, my voice steady, every word cutting the silence. You mocked my loyalty as weakness. Tonight, your laughter has died, and all that's left is truth. Her hands trembled as she tried to salvage her mask. You don't understand, Marcus? I loved you. I leaned closer so only she could hear the final strike. No, Ilara, you loved control. And now it's gone. She pulled back, eyes wide. The first flicker of fear breaking through her facade. The crowd's gaze pressed on her, heavy and merciless. She tried to smile, but her lips quivered. The queen had no throne anymore. I turned, walking away as Marcus followed. Behind me, her voice cracked in a whisper drowned by the noise of a crowd that no longer adored her, and for the first time, she looked at me with fear, not power. The ballroom noise followed me as I stepped into the corridor. My chest rose and fell, not from rage but from release. Marcus hurried beside me, glancing back. You sure you want to leave her like that? He asked. Yes, I said. She wanted an audience. She got one. We walked down the marble steps, the sound of heels echoing behind us. Ilara's voice carried, sharp and trembling. Marcus, wait, turned. Her gold dress shimmered in the dim light, but her confidence was gone. She looked smaller, weaker, her eyes pleading. You don't understand, she said, breathless. Sebastian used me. He promised me everything. I thought you thought wrong, I cut in. You thought betrayal could be hidden behind glamour? Tears welled in her eyes, though her voice strained to stay steady. I loved you once. You can't deny that. Stepped closer, my voice low. If you loved me, you wouldn't have chosen him. You wouldn't have laughed while I bled inside. Her lip trembled. It was never about laughter. It was about fear. I was afraid of losing control, afraid of being vulnerable with you. Ow. I shook my head. You weren't afraid. You were addicted. Addicted to power, to attention, to the thrill of being desired. And now all of it's gone. Oh, she reached for my hand. Give me another chance. Don't let them see me like this. I pulled back. They're not seeing you. They're finally seeing the truth. Her tears spilled. So that's it? You walk away and leave me here to rot? I looked at her for a long moment. The woman who once owned every room now looked like a stranger. You're not rotting. You're facing the consequences you thought would never come. Marcus cleared his throat softly. We should go. I nodded, but Ilara clutched at my sleeve. Please, don't leave me like he did. You're stronger than him. You always were. Her words stung, but I refused to let them chain me again. Strength isn't about saving you from your own choices. It's about saving myself. She dropped her hand, her body shaking. I'll never recover from this. I held her gaze. That's not my burden anymore. Silence stretched between us, heavy with everything unsaid. I turned and walked away, my footsteps steady. Outside, the night air wrapped around me, cool and liberating. Marcus lit a cigarette and exhaled. I've never seen someone crumble that fast. She had no idea you'd flip the stage on her. She built her stage on lies, I said. It was bound to collapse. He smirked. And you look lighter, I admitted. For the first time, I don't need revenge to feel whole. We walked toward the waiting car, city lights glowing in the distance. My phone buzzed with messages, no doubt from people who had witnessed the downfall, but I ignored them. Marcus glanced at me. You think she'll try to fix it? She'll try, I said. But nothing she rebuilds will erase tonight. He blew smoke into the air. Then what's next for you? I stared at the skyline, its towers shining like promises. Freedom. My silence will be louder than any story she spins. Later, alone in my apartment, I poured a glass of water and sat by the window. The city hummed, alive with secrets, but none of them were mine anymore. My phone buzzed again. Alara's name lit the screen. I let it ring, watching it fade into silence. Her laughter had once filled my nights, sharp and intoxicating. Now it was gone, replaced by echoes of her downfall. I whispered to myself, steady and certain. Her laughter died that night, but my silence lived louder than any revenge.